All right, just gonna give it a minute here. Oh, gotta change the date. I totally forgot. It is the 9th. It is no longer April 2nd. All right. There we go. We should be all set now. April 9th, 2021. We are almost a full year since I started doing these streams. Just gonna adjust the camera angle just a little bit here. Sorry about that. I'll lower the exposure a little bit. And I'm gonna grab the Astra M1 prototype here. So, welcome back, everyone. Not a lot of people watching right now, but it doesn't really matter. I'm just gonna do my own thing. Welcome back to the Friday Open Studio Design Session, build session, whatever you want to call it. Again, if you're new around here, these are really intended to be kind of virtual online sessions where we kind of make things and kind of create a kind of creative atmosphere, just start building stuff and making things. So welcome back. So I guess just a quick life update of some sorts here. I am actually moving out of my apartment pretty soon. This is getting a little bit personal, but I don't think it's like too big of a privacy breach or anything. But I am actually moving into a new house. I'm fortunate enough to save up for one and have, familial support, I guess. But finally excited to finally not be trapped in a dorm room or, an apartment space. I'm finally glad to actually have my own place. So that's coming up in a couple of weeks, and actually a month just about. The closing date is gonna be May 7th, so I'm pretty excited. Just going through the paperwork right now, but hopefully all of that goes through without a hitch, and then I will be moving this studio to the new place. And luckily there's a basement, and half of it's like finished, so I can use that as kind of a studio space to do live streams, to film videos, things like that. But also with the basement, I'll be able to build bigger projects, potentially RC. I know definitely RC is on the list, because you can't just be making paper airplanes forever, right? So you gotta advance forward and build new things and explore new technologies and things like that. But that's kind of the plan going forward. I'm just gonna refocus the camera real quick here. There we go. Let's see. There, that should be a little better. Sorry about that. Just I didn't set it on autofocus, but it's an exciting time. New space, new possibilities, right? This place that I looked at, that I'm going to be moving to in about a month, it's right next to a huge open field. It's kind of it's really nice. It's like a baseball field, but the little baseball diamond, the triangle arc thing, quadrant, whatever you want to call it. I'm not really familiar with the terminology there, but that thing has been kind of just grown over by grass, and it's like all green, and it's a huge space. So I'm excited to move there, and first of all, it makes me comfortable, right? A big, nice open space, but also I'm probably going to be able to film more flight test videos, because you can actually hear me. It's extremely quiet. The neighborhood is like super quiet. It's like far away from the highway. Like right now, this apartment that I'm in right now, where I'm live streaming, outside right there, that's I-91 cutting down the middle of Connecticut, and it's absolutely annoying. Like, I can't fall asleep at night. And these weren't problems when I first moved in, right? But after you live in a certain area for a while, you start to notice these things. And so when I was searching for a place, I definitely said to myself, no highways, no. See, like, you can hear that, right? Like, it's so loud. It's absolutely annoying. But anyways, I'm just complaining at this point. I'm excited to move to the new space. I'll be doing more projects, larger projects potentially. And it's going to take some time to build up the shop area and the studio, so it'll be a transition. It'll be slow, constant improvement, rather than just spend like a couple grand, just boom, everything's all there. But yeah, exciting stuff coming up. But in terms of live stream, I guess we're trying to make some progress with some projects, right? So at least for me, when I do these live streams, I'm trying to make some progress with my projects. This prototype here, the M1 Astra, is pretty much done. I also made a rapid prototype that we finished off last week. That's also done as well. That project is pretty much complete, like done. Like, I have no desire to add on top of that. It actually flies okay. I want to say it has a little bit of a pitch issue. It's we'll have to see like with the outdoors flights, but again, it's a rapid prototype. It's not like supposed to be perfect anyway, so yeah, it works. I want to say indoors maybe 70% of the time it's like, it flies, but then there are certain times when the nose just curves down and you can't like pull out of a dive, and then there are some times when it just pulls up very extremely for some reason and then bleeds all of its airspeed, and then it just stalls and crashes, which is not great. But I think it's an inherent design problem, like in the configuration, because we have such a long fuselage and it's like kind of approximating a flying wing, but at the same time there's so much weight in the nose, it just pulls the nose down, and to lift the nose up you need a lot more surface area. And I think when I added the canards, it was not sized properly. It looked fine to me, but I guess physics says no, you did this incorrectly, and you did it wrong. But we'll see how it flies outdoors, because I think with the extreme pitch up tendency, if I fly it at high speeds outdoors, it might be able to actually fly decently, but we'll have to really wait on that until I move to the new place, which should be in about a month or two. I'd say 2 months to be conservative. Like by the end of 2 months, by the end of 60 days, I will be in the new place. So yeah, we'll have to hold off on the flight test videos. I mean, not that I was like cranking them out every single week, it wasn't like that at all. But with a better outdoor space, I feel more inclined to go out, right? To actually spend some time in fresh air in a quiet environment, not next to a highway. So you guys can actually hear me in these videos, and there's not a lot of background noise, right? So that's kind of the intent here. Again, it's just a lot of infrastructure changes around here in the coming weeks. So I've been trying to think, like, I've been hard pressed to come up with something to work on, and the only thing that I think I want to maybe work on that actually holds some weight and is not just like another rapid prototype project is kind of just adding another set of details. Bear with me here. I'm adding 2 more panels to the Astra design here. This is quite refined already for like my entire career as a paper airplane maker. This doesn't even look like paper, but it's we're so beyond the original, the Dart paper airplane with the wing extensions attached. This is so far removed from that. But anyways, as I was saying, I wanted to add 2 panels, one on each side, that kind of cover up this this messy bit here. This is kind of a cutout for the mechanism because I didn't want it to rub up against the cover, or the landing gear nacelle here, right? So on the inside there's a mechanism. This little white bit is actually the landing gear, but it rotates around this bearing, the orange kind of little curved piece there. You might be able to see, but I want to cover this up because it's still a little bit of an eyesore. It's not going to be a huge involved thing. I'm just going to put a panel over that and call it a day. It's probably going to be gray colored. And I do want to actually use this panel as a sort of, sorry, you guys can't see. I want to use this panel as a place to write, I guess, apply a decal, a decoration, I guess, of sorts. Just my logo, or potentially just Y13A, and then maybe a date, like a month and a date. But I don't really plan on serializing because I think it just looks weird. But I'll come up with something. So one side has to be something, the other side has to be maybe the same thing, but maybe a different thing. I don't know. Like, it's another opportunity to apply decals, right? It's like on the bottom of the wing. It's not very noticeable, so it's like it's a good place to put like my logo and things like that. It's kind of like a artist signature. You kind of just conceal it somewhere, right? So it's like kind of right here is where I would do that. But that's kind of the plan. So adding 2 panels with decals to each side, connecting the fairing, the main landing gear fairing, to the wing. It's probably going to be a slanted diagonal piece that's just taped up right up against these 2 surfaces. So that's kind of the plan for now. I don't think that'll take the whole 2 hours that I do these streams for, but we'll see how far we can get with that. The other thing that I actually thought about working on was making a stand. So you'll notice that this plane has landing gear, which is great, but the OG Astra actually did not have any landing gear, and the only way I could mount that was on a stand. And I actually feel like a stand would be kind of nice because it props the plane up like above the ground, so it makes it look like it's flying, but it's actually being supported. But also, it's an opportunity to really create a nice display kind of device, I guess. I don't know what I was thinking, but anyways, that's another idea that I have, and I actually have prepared. By prepared, I mean like I've just gotten this raw material right here. This is a what is it? 16 gauge, 200 feet galvanized wire coil. I bought this like months ago, but I never actually needed to use it. Oh, Jesus. Until now. Those are great for creating aircraft display stands, because let's see here. The OG Astra right here. Oh my god. Oh. Alright. Yeah, this is the original YX-10 Astra. It's quite old at this point, but you can see that the display stand magnetically attaches to the aircraft. So the new stand won't necessarily use magnets to do that, but I intend on making some sort of stand to make it look like it's flying, just suspended in air, things like that. But this is quite an old project, and it's been exposed to the sunlight for a while, so you can see the discoloration. But the idea is similar, to prop it up on a stand to be able to display it nicely. So I'm going to put this back. Okay. So the stand, you might also work on that as a potential addition to this project. Might have to do some design work there before we make it, but you know, in the next couple of weeks to aid in this transition, we can spend some time finishing off these details, and hopefully, I mean, by now the plane is pretty much done. It's just little things here and there that make it a little bit better, and I'm just trying to get those details down. Oh, welcome if you're just joining. I know not many people stay for long, but and treat this as a creative atmosphere where we're all making something, right? Hopefully. But yeah, as I just mentioned previously in the stream, we are just okay. Well, that person left, but whatever. You know, I don't really do these streams for views necessarily. I just do it to make myself actually make something, do something. But all right, so yeah, I guess we can get started here. So what we really want to do is get some tape. Not using the tape quite yet, just kind of relying on this tape dispenser to hold the fuselage in place so that doesn't damage the stabilizers or canards. Actually, the stabilizers are okay. It's just I prefer not to lean it against a hard surface, but I guess sometimes you just gotta make do. Or you could just hold it, I guess, but you guys aren't getting the same view that I'm getting, so. Alright, so we're gonna probably prototype this with printer paper and then switch to a cardstock material, and then, you know, cut out the shape, apply the decal to the shape, and then attach the shape on here. Yeah, it should be a pretty simple fairing. It's like a 90-degree corner, and you want it to transition aerodynamically from the front to the back. It should be pretty simple, I guess, I want to say. But again, we'll find out. Okay. Alright, sorry, I just need to stay caffeinated, so I'll drink a little bit of iced coffee right here. Yeah. This is what we have. Just another perspective of it. I'm just like kind of playing around with it a little bit. This is quite an interesting airplane. Alright. Let's see here. Yeah. It's the underside. That's the location where we're going to put it. So I'm thinking could potentially do kind of just a hexagon type shape, symmetric, in 2 axes. I don't want to say all 3. I imagine like a. Okay, I guess I could just start working on it rather than trying to explain it. It's hard to Express Designs, kind of just, you know, sorry about that. I just grabbed some materials here to work with. All right. All right, so we're gonna add a little fairing to the underside here. Oh, okay, everybody left, but all right, trying to make it aerodynamic, trying to make it sleek, and also enough area to potentially put our mark, kind of like an artist signature of sorts. Okay, well, we could really use anything here. I'm going to do a cut here. Just want to check the date real quick. Okay, yeah. Alright, yeah, so sorry, I'm just looking at a calendar, figuring out my schedule here. So this week, I'm doing this stream. Next week, I'll be doing the Friday stream, and I might do a Saturday stream on the 17th, I'm not sure, because I'm probably going to be busy on the 23rd. So that's, yeah, the 23rd I'll move to 17th, and we can have like a dual session that week. But anyways, I'm just trying to make some progress here. Okay. All right, so yeah, it's a funny time to be doing these streams. So many things are up in the air for me at the moment, but I do want to keep that consistent scheduling. So to enhance the prototyping speed of this part, I am just going to straight up fold this in half, and what am I going to do? I'm going to cut that. It's a pretty small part, so I'm not concerned about, I'm not getting it to work, but because we have so many much materials compared to the actual size of the part, it's going to be a pretty small part. Actually, yeah, it's going to go like this. So this is a rough idea of the part, right? It's like a trapezoid right now, but when you unfold it, it becomes kind of a hexagon. But this hexagon is a little bit weird. It's a little too thick. I need to cut it down a little bit. Probably reduce the thickness by that much. Should look okay. I'm trying to match both angles here. There's really no easy way to do this unless you just like that. Okay, and then when you unfold this little trapezoidal piece, it becomes a decent sized hexagon here, which is pretty symmetric because we folded it in half. And then we're gonna try and cover this little gap here with this piece. I don't think it'll work that great, but we're gonna try. I think the main issue right now is that it's a little bit it's a little bit short. So it's kind of hard to fully kind of wrap it in a sense, like these little triangle areas here. Right, so like from this point to this point, if I want to fold that triangle in towards the fuselage, it's a little bit short. It can't really do that. So we need to make this hexagon a lot more thin. Like this triangle area has to be like that. It has to be pretty long in order for it to be a smooth transition. And it's gonna look a little weird, but I think the end product I'm gonna make not in white necessarily. I could as an accent, but I think it would ruin. Would it ruin the underside? It's like all gray underneath the wing and the fuselage. I'm not sure if I want to make it gray, because I think adding a dash of color here would, really break things up a little bit. But also, I just don't know like how the text would look on white. It just looked like just random scribbles on white versus, this nicely done horizontal tail, which is, it's a different story. It just looks a little bit more professional with the gray. Powerhouse Paper Airplanes, Roger says, gonna be gorgeous in the air. Yes, that's the plan. I might not test this extensively, but there will definitely be some sort of outdoors flights for this. But need to elongate this triangle area, so let's try doing that. So I'm gonna place this right here so you guys can have a view of it. This is gonna be a little bit challenging. Okay, so I just kind of eyeballed that. Would not recommend if you want a very precise part. But we're gonna make that thin triangle area here. And here as well. Okay, I think this might be a little bit too extreme, but we can try it anyway. See how it does. That's the whole point of a prototyping stage, is to make sure things will work. Okay, yeah, that's actually quite stubborn. I don't know if it's even possible to fit this. Alright, so yeah, I don't want to like break the aircraft. Actually, that's pretty good. That's not bad. It's a nice fairing. I think it can be even longer. So if we make it longer, it's going to come to the back here quite nicely. But if we keep it at its current length, it's not bad either. That just really depends on what we wanna do here. Yeah, it's kind of tough to work with small parts like this. I think this is about as good as we're probably gonna reasonably get for fairing like this. Yeah, I'm definitely doing gray because this white just looks a little off. Alright, so it's decided we're gonna make this in gray and then mark it with something, apply decals, and then stick them onto that little transition area to hide that little gap. Yeah, it's a good idea. I'm just patting myself on the back at this point, but yeah, don't mind me. Oof. All right, so I got some paper here to trace this on. So this is why I keep all my scraps, because for a small part like this, you really don't want to cut into like a fresh sheet of cardstock. It's like such a waste. It like pains me to see people use material like that. But that's just me. I like to be efficient with my materials here, so just trace this template onto the paper down below, the cardstock, and try your best not to shift it, because that'll take some time to realign everything, but I think this is alright. It's not bad. So that's one of them, and we can actually take advantage of this negative space here to draw another one of these shapes. So I think, yeah, with all these parts, it does add weight, but these are such small panels, it shouldn't really matter all that much. But yeah, in a future iteration, definitely for the M2 or potentially S variants of this design, I do plan on like improving this design. Probably not going to move to a YX11 anytime soon, but just want to improve the weight efficiency of this design. Right now it's quite heavy, and I think the only reason for that is the excessive amount of reinforcement that's inside this aircraft. So it's like incredibly strong, but it's a little bit heavy, right? That's the trade-off. You want to make something strong, it's going to be a little bit heavy, but you know, that's a trade-off that I decided to make. And next time I'll make the adjustment where I remove some of that reinforcement material, and you know, after it's removed, it should be a lot lighter. For one, I do not plan on double layering the fuselage, because the fuselage for this one was 2 layers of cereal box cardboard, and it was quite the hassle, I guess, to cut, first of all, but also, you know, just it adds a ton of weight. And I added like a lot of popsicle sticks to make the nose area very stiff, so it won't break up upon impact. That's why I kind of want to fly it, but also at the same time, I put in so much work to this prototype that I just don't even want to fly it. It's like I'm throwing away my firstborn child or something. But no, yeah, planes are meant to be flown, so I'm definitely going to fly it. I just don't want to fly it to the point of the original Astra where it's just like totally dead, like damaged, retired. Because this one is actually quite nice, and I don't want to destroy it so fast, I guess. That's kind of my point here, but yeah, it's a good plane. Next version will make it lighter. Just cutting the rest of this panel here. This is a very slender panel, so it's kind of hard to get the tip geometry right. It's so sensitive to these things, where if you make a slight angle adjustment, it changes the shape pretty drastically. Alright, so it's not too complicated. I hope you guys can follow along, but this is literally just gonna fit right here, and oh god, you see it's a little bit troublesome to really get to fit here, but kind of it is what it is. Actually, I think, you know what, I'm going to round the corners a little bit. I know this is not an exact science. Actually, let me check the symmetry here. If I flip it to the other side here. Actually, that's not bad for an eyeball job. That is not bad at all. That's pretty close. Alright, but, you know, just to make things a little more even, I'm just going to round these, fillet these corners out. This will allow the panel to sit a little bit more flush against the aircraft. First of all, I think it's the landing gear nacelle, and yeah, the landing gear nacelle and the main wing. This excess bit can go. Just flipping the geometry like this also ensures some level of symmetry. It's just kind of a build technique that I came up with in the moment. I think it makes sense, right? You have slightly off sections, and then, you know, there's some portions that are longer than others. You can trim down both sides by flipping it, and then trying to match up the shape. So right here you see there's a little bit extra on the back piece here. That's why I'm just cutting that. Oh, sorry. Yeah. So I think that does the job. And yeah, it's not gonna be perfect by any stretch of the imagination. I am not a robot. I don't cut perfect pieces, but I think for our purposes, it's probably good enough. And hopefully these rounded edges here will help with the attachment. The only thing that's bad about the round edges is that it's a little more difficult to actually secure onto the aircraft, because you know, you'll have a round surface or round edge, hard edge between two surfaces. That's going to be a little bit difficult to tape along, but that's just kind of part of the deal. Alright, so I'm going to put this to the side real quick, and I'm going to think of what to put on this little nugget, a little piece of cardstock here. Sorry, I just lost my train of thought. I'm going to put down this sheet of white printer paper here. You might remember this from when we made the vertical stabilizer, which we do have decals for, right? These were not drawn on the actual cardstock, because that actually damages the material. It compresses the fibers in the paper itself. So we actually applied the decals in a way so that, you know, we drew out this plan form for the vertical stabilizer. This is actually taped, if you can't tell. Let me just zoom in a little bit for you guys. This is cellophane tape, and so actually the pencil lines are underneath, so you can't erase anything, right? It's kind of like a permanent marker on a whiteboard, and then you draw on it with, you know, other things to make it look like something. I don't know. That was a random metaphor, but anyways, what you want to do is tape down the geometry that you traced out, that you drew down on the white piece of paper, and then what you can do is apply another piece of tape that's going to be your base layer for the decal, and then just draw on that, and then, you know, just apply a second piece of tape over that kind of wraps around the whole thing, and then just yank off the whole thing. So it's like a whole process of, you know, applying decals, but I'll kind of show you guys what I mean here. Just a second. So this part is going to look something like, okay, I just need a open space here to work with this. This is not a huge material investment into this stencil slash God, I'm just kind of lost here in my train of thoughts. Okay, so I think that's about okay where I want it. Just put it in the corner because it makes it easier to remove a piece of tape or anything like that. Kind of looks like an eye. It's like an almond shape, but I'm being distracted here. I'm sorry about that. What you want to do, kind of trace out this shape first of all. Oops, sorry about that. I'm not centered. Let me just move that here. Is that better? Yeah, that's a little better. All right, move the plane up. Move the paper up. And then, okay, so that's that. And then, all right, so you just want to deepen this line really simply here without making it too thick. Just make it a little bit more confident. Okay, I think I'm using just a regular HB lead, but you can also go with 2B if you really want. And then you just grab a length of tape here. This is how I apply decals, right? So you want to cover the surface completely so that when you apply eraser, you can't erase the line underneath, right? So that's what you want. You want to keep the line there. And then the next step is to just kind of prototype your design. And so you can just draw on this, right? And actually, a better idea yet is to not draw directly on that, but draw on a separate, oh god, sorry about that. Just grabbing a piece of tape here. What we can do is I'm going to offset this second piece of tape so that there's kind of a handle on the edge so I can take it off of the paper so it won't be so hard to lift it off. But then once you do that, you can just lightly trace over this base layer. Okay, that's going to help you align this piece of tape to the actual part. And for this, I think that this is going to be what, the port side? Let's see here, the left side, which is the port side. Cover, landing gear, door, panel, cover thing. This is probably just going to have my logo. I could draw my logo and then Y13A, I guess, but I don't know. I want to keep it kind of minimal. Yeah, I'll just do Y13A, that's it. No logo for this aircraft. It'll be too distracting. This is hand lettering. There's no printing whatsoever. This is the old-fashioned way. I've committed a cardinal sin in the art of calligraphy and hand lettering. which is you don't go over your previous stroke. That's like one of the things that they teach you as a student of calligraphy. But this is all right. It's not horrible. It's a little off center, unfortunately. We could try again if we really wanted to, but I'm just gonna show you guys what this looks like. Right, so once you're done there, you can remove this layer because you offset it a little bit. You can apply this layer of tape with the decal onto the onto the gray piece here. Oh my god, Jesus. All right. Sorry about that. Well, let's try that again. You really have to keep it a level. Oh my. All right, yeah, this is a little bit troublesome. It's easier with a larger part, but this is gonna be a little difficult, a bit of a pain in the ass, but we'll get through it. All right, there we go. Yeah, see, it's not perfect, but this is kind of how you apply it. And you could trim the tape and then apply another piece over that to actually attach it to the fuselage, but this way, the way I have it, it's all right. It's not horrible. You could also go with not drawing the outline, the eye-shaped outline here for this part in particular. I'm gonna try this again because I think this text is a little bit small, and I'm gonna prototype a version without the eye. So I'm gonna make 2 changes. I'm gonna try and employ them here. So again, we have our base paper layer, which we drew this pattern onto, traced it, right? You applied a piece of tape here. You might be able to see the difference. There's a little edge there. I'm not sure the camera can pick that up, but there's an edge. So now you can't erase the line underneath, and it's kind of just permanent there. You can't interact with it. You place a temporary piece, or I guess you place the layer that you're going to apply to the actual part down here. Okay, this time we're not going to draw the eye. We're just going to align the decal with this shape, and we're going to try and get it to look right in proportion with the actual part. Again, this is like kind of trivial. I kind of invented this process, but I'm sure people out there are going to be like, no, you didn't. Like, this is common sense. But yeah, I'm just gonna hand letter my channel name here, Y13A. I won't get into why it's that, but it goes back a long way. It's kind of its own name now. There we go. That's looking a little better. A little bolder. Right. I'm committing a sin again in terms of calligraphy. I'm not a calligrapher, at least not professionally. That looks okay. That looks reasonable, right? At least to me. And then we can rip this layer off, which now has our Y13A logo, and then you can apply it to the actual gray cardstock piece. And now, without the eye, we can actually align. Oh my god, not again. We can actually align this piece, kind of. I can apologize for that. The mat underneath, this grid cutting mat, it's kind of warped due to the sunlight hitting it and heating it up in different ways, so I apologize for that. It's causing some difficulty in terms of applying this decal. Yeah, there we go. That's perfect. Straight in the middle. Okay. Now that's looking good. And actually, with this, what do I want to do? I actually want to trim this because this graphite layer is still on the outside. So this is not going to be the final layer. We need to apply another layer of tape over this to really keep it from being rubbed off, because right now if you wanted to erase it, you could. And the easiest way to trim this is to kind of just use an X-Acto knife for this. Yeah, see, the chat is kind of blowing up today. A lot more people viewing today than before. Neighbor's dog, how's everyone doing? I am doing quite well. It's a Friday afternoon. I am being creative. Hope you guys are making your own projects too. Or if not, just keep this on in the background and listen in as a podcast or something. Appreciate the support. It's been a while, Ace. Yes, it has. Actually, I've been doing these weekly streams for a while, but I think people just don't notice that they're live sometimes and they just don't join. But anyways, it's up to you. I really do this to keep myself working on something. But, you know, if you can get something out of it as well, then, you know, that's a plus. Alright, I'm just going to cut that off. And I'm going to trim that too. So it's a very smooth cut, which is very nice. It's actually very satisfying to do that. Like it's one of my favorite parts about this. Didn't really start doing this until last year, I think. This gives us a little bit more control over the so that's not perfect, but we can easily correct that. A little bit more control over how we cut tape. Seems like such a trivial thing, right? You just cut tape, but to cut it cleanly along a surface is something else. Like when you actually do it, feels really, really nice. It's like when you play tennis and you serve this very fast ball across the court and it hits perfectly within the court. It's just like that feeling of satisfaction. I don't know. That was like oddly specific, but all right. So it seems like YouTube is not receiving enough video. All right. I'm not sure what to do there. We're still transmitting a good amount. I think this might be the internet. Might be the connection that I have right now. So I'm sorry if the audio is like garbled or whatever. Hopefully it's not too laggy. I'm gonna close this tab of Chrome. Hopefully that's a little less taxing on my computer. All right. Buffering. All right. Whatever. Okay. So this is good. Let me just remove this excess piece of tape. Sorry about that interruption there. It just is the way it is. I can't fix connection problems. That's out of my control. I'm just gonna grab a piece of tape, and then for this, I think I'm gonna just grab the whole thing and try and apply it. So now with this final layer, it's actually possible or not possible to erase the graphite anymore. So that kind of seals it in, right? So that's the benefit there. I'm gonna try and fit this into the little nook where we designed for this thing to go. It's gonna be a very tight fit. I think this is why I initially did not want to do this. I apologize again. There's some network issues. So let me know in the chat if you guys are experiencing like buffering or any problems. It's like warning me right now, but yeah, we're just gonna continue because I can't really control that. Alright, so it looks like what we need to do is cut it in several sections. Alright, hopefully this gets captured on the stream, but we're going to cut it here, here, here. This will break up the curvature in the part. Cut here, cut here, cut here. Break up the curvature such that it can actually wrap around these edges relatively nicely into the surrounding material. Okay. Yeah, there we go. Alright, so this is on the right side here. A nice thing about this design is that you could like lay the white parts down on a surface like the wingtip here and the nose, and it would form a perfectly straight line, and so you kind of just rest it on those two edges there. I don't know, it just felt like a nice detail in the configuration of the design. Okay, so after cutting it, it looks like the surface fits nicely overall. It's just we want to get a better fit, so that's why we have to sorry, just trying to think here. Oh, this is not in the frame. I apologize. If I'm not doing something right, you guys just let me know and try and fix it. But yeah, just kind of get that 45-degree angle. Okay, I don't think that's 45 degrees, but that's about a little less than 45. All right, let's try this again. This is why it's very challenging. Is that okay? Yeah, that's about 45. Okay. And then you just kind of like wrap the surface into the little edge. Okay, so it's not letting me do that. This is a very finicky way to do fairing work, cover design, fairing design, aerodynamic surfaces design with compound curvature. Sorry, that's a mouthful there, but it's basically the only good way that I know of, at least, that you can do this. So I apologize here. All right. Looks like we're all caught up on the video. Alright, it doesn't look too horrible. Looks nice. Do you have to like kind of clean up this cut a little bit? Right, there's so much excess here. Let's trim that off. But I want to be careful not to trim the fairing because there's some connective pieces there as well. This is a little challenging, I do admit, because we broke it up into so many little pieces. It's a challenge to actually trim all of that off. It's not going to be that clean, unfortunately. But I think for the most part, it looks okay. It's like such a small thing. It's not that important, but sorry. I'm just trying to remove the tape from my X-Acto knife. This is not the most exciting stream, I realize, but what are you gonna do? It's part of tinkering, part of making. I see a lot of boring parts here, but okay, yeah, we got our label on. It looks alright. Sorry, weird sound. Front of the part of the tape that we applied needs to be cut off. I need my tweezers for this, I think. Okay, yeah, this is quite delicate work. Oh geez, all right. Okay, so I have the tape held up here. I'll line the blade up here and then try and that kind of worked. Kind of not really, but alright. I'll take it. So what I did there was I basically put the knife up against that edge and then grabbed the piece of tape and yanked it off. That's kind of how the tape is dispensed anyway. You just kind of hold it up against a sharp edge and then you kind of yank it a little bit, start the crack propagation in the material, and then just tear it apart. But yeah, that was interesting. All right, it's not horrible, I guess, but the bottom bit here is a little rough. I don't know. I could just rub it in and then call it a day, but I feel like dirt would get stuck here. Don't know. It looks alright. Gotta zoom out a little bit and show you guys. This looks okay. I'm just gonna move this in a little bit. There we go. Looks okay. I don't know who made it. I guess on the other side we could put IX10. Or I could just put Y13A again. Not sure, still got to decide. I'll just maybe do the same Y13A on the other side as well. Or I could put a date. Foxy Winter Fox. Hello, Y13A. Hey, I appreciate your posting and, tagging me in photos and things like that. If you guys don't know Foxy Winter Fox, I think that's the same account as Flanker Ryan on Instagram. He's super passionate about Russian fighter jets, specifically Sukhois. He does some pretty decent work with modeling, so I highly recommend going to check his stuff out. He did create, I think, a Mihai Su-30, which I think might be my next project. I'm not sure yet, but it might be a potential new exciting project to work on once I move into my new home in about a month. But yeah, it's a weird time transitioning to a new location while maintaining a presence here on YouTube. But this turned out all right. It's not the best, but I'll take it. It covers up the little gap there, smooth the little gap here. Again, this gap was made because of the retractable landing gear mechanism. Right, this little nub rotates. That's why we cut that little gap out, but now we want to cover it with a fairing, and so that's what I'm doing here. So yeah, we're gonna just do the same thing to the other side and kind of move away from this. I think this might be the last bit of the aircraft that we might need to work on. Not too much else going on. I think the only other thing that I wanted to do, I mentioned this earlier in the stream, was to make a metallic wire aircraft stand with potentially some interesting features, right? But the idea behind that is to enable a better mounting system, so I don't have to. What I've done beforehand is, I put this aircraft on my monitor, like on top of my computer monitor, and I had to precariously balance it so that it doesn't fall over onto itself. But with a actual proper stand, I don't think that's going to be an issue anymore. So the idea is there, and I think this fairing looks all right. It doesn't look horrible. Could it be better? Yes, but is this project perfect anyway? No, it's not. It's not perfect, so I'm not too concerned about it. I do want to make another decal. I'm still thinking about what to put on it. I think just Y13A again, maybe that'll do the trick. People will say I'm boring, but whatever, man. I could put the date. I could put my logo, I guess. Don't know what would look good on the other side. It's YX10. No, the name of the design is already on the aircraft. So, yeah, I might just do Y13A again. Sorry, just gotta stay caffeinated real quick. So, this is our decal. Alright. Oh, coffee, man. Makes you awake and alert, which is good. Alright, I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you guys can have a better view of how I make decals here. But yeah, this is looking good. Just got to hand letter this decal in. Oh geez, something happened. The lead in my pencil is kind of jammed up in the material for some reason. Might need to redo that part. That A was a little messy. There we go. That's much better. I think what happened was my pencil lead, the sharp side of the lead, so your lead is like kind of angled like that, right? Imagine that's your pencil lead. If you use this side to kind of dig into the paper, it's going to cut the tape layer. You don't want to do that. You want to use this side, the flat side, to really get that thick, bold font, at least, for for my work here. If you need more detail, definitely use a tip, but yeah. So Foxy Winter Fox says, I mostly working on paper Sukhoi flankers from any flanker variants. Yeah, there are so many flanker variants out there. Like, I personally do not know the entire family tree. I have a vague idea, but it's a little bit beyond my knowledge scope. You just keep on calling the same plane different names with a different radar, a different name. You know, it's like they switch out things here and there and keep on renaming them. But the major ones I do know, so hopefully that's not too big of a deal. But anyways, oh, that's not a piece of tape. That's my skin. Rip. I think I might have cut myself using the X-Acto on accident. But anyways, sorry about that. I'm going to take this decal off and apply it to the part. This is, God, all right. Yeah, we got this. This is a little challenging. Just gotta make sure we don't rub the graphite off of the thing here. Yeah, this one actually looks a little better in my opinion. Would you look at that? That's a very clean application. Okay, and then we're just going to kind of trim this in, cut that in, and then just cut along the surface here. So trying to remove the excess of this tape. You know, it'd probably be easier with a pair of scissors, but I hate tape getting into my scissors. It's kind of annoying to me. That's why I use X-Acto knives, so you can get a very clean cut once you get it going. Oh shit, I'm about to cut my finger. Rest in peace, finger. Alright. There we go. And then, yeah, you just kind of like slide the X-Acto through. This is an old X-Acto knife. I do realize that. I've been contemplating getting like more blades or just a new X-Acto knife, but I am trying to save money right now because I just got a new place and tons of things to get there, and I do still have an X-Acto knife, so I'm trying to save cash, trying to save funds for other things. So I haven't really gotten to replacing this knife. This knife has been with me for like over a year, and I have not changed out the blades at all, so it's kind of not great at cutting. It's not that sharp anymore. It still does the job decently. It's not horrible, but it'd be nice to replace it. Or actually, you could even like rip this. Yeah, actually that's easier. You could just rip the tape if you have enough handle material. It kind of just rips according to the shape of the part. You gotta give it a little head start there, but then afterwards just rip right along the edge very cleanly. So work smarter, not harder, right? That's what they say. All right, so I'm going to now apply the final adhesive layer of tape. This is the one that's actually going to attach it to the fuselage. So I gotta be careful here, but again, it's the same principle. You just kind of grab both sides here, center it roughly, and then boom, stick it down. And then now you can't erase this decal anymore, so it's very nice. does the job really, really nice. So for this one, I'm gonna be smart and reduce the, so I said I wouldn't use my scissors, but sometimes if you're cutting away from the hard edge of the part, you might want to do so. Just makes it a little easier than trying to slice it ad hoc without any support. But this is to accommodate the little fairing area, because if you have too much tape, it's going to gunk up the lower side, and it's going to be tough to remove later. I'm going to be smart about this. And try and do that. Alright. I think after this we are going to design that new stand. And I have some ideas. I'm trying to always do new things, try new designs, new technologies, whatever you might want to call it. So I'm going to try and do a clean sheet, custom made stand thing. I don't know. Yeah, that sounds about right. Oh shoot, yeah, we forgot to make the cuts. Yeah, you gotta make like 1, 2, 3 cuts on each quadrant. That will help alleviate crumples. By crumples, I mean like when the tape is folded in multiple directions, it sometimes likes to stick together and create folds. So by doing these cuts, we are allowing the material to do whatever it wants in a way. So anyways, cutting that allows for a nice curved application of of the fairing here. Okay, so it's a little bit warped, unfortunately. Oh, sorry about that. Touched the camera there, but we're gonna have to try and fix this. This is gonna be a little challenging to fix. But we're gonna try our damn best. Oh, Jesus. All right. Okay. All right, I'm going to try this again. I'm going to lift up the lower side a little higher. That fits in that little groove. Less warped and more symmetric. There we go. Actually, this problem is on the other side as well. It's not very aligned and properly placed in, but it looks all right. Doesn't look horrible. It meets my standards, which are not that high, I guess. But covers up the mechanism, little nub inside, and it gives us a little label on the side. So this looks alright. It doesn't look too bad. Y13A there, Y13A here. This one, the one on the right side is a little bit more bold, but it does the job. Covers up the mechanism. Oh, sorry about that. And yeah, it looks decent. Doesn't look horrible. All right, so yeah, we're pretty much done with the Astra at this point. we can always think of details to add, but it's just like at some point you just gotta call it quits. You know, like for example, I could add like a nozzle structure here. I thought about it. I might do it if I'm really out of ideas next time, but right now I just have this as is. It works fine. But yeah, this is exciting. Look, it's a pretty advanced design with moving parts, right? The canards move when actuated. I think, you know, Flank Orion, Foxy, Winter Fox, if you're still watching, this is kind of what I explained in our chat, which is that, you know, they're moving parts in this aircraft, right? So you just push this rod on the top. The top one controls the canards. So if you zoom in there, you can have up canard, or you push it in, you have down canard. Right, so internal mechanism there. And hopefully in the S variant of this, it becomes automatic. But we still gotta invent some new mechanical things there. The bottom one here controls leading edge flaps, but I like to keep it really stuck in one place, because that's normally how I like to display these flaps. But you can definitely push it to kind of retract the there we go, I'm trying to focus there, but you retract the flaps. It's a very subtle movement, it's not a very obvious movement, which is why I want to remove this part of the mechanism in the next stage, in the next prototype. It's not very worth it for me to have an entire mechanism dedicated to such slight movement. I'd rather that mechanism be used for landing gear deployment, right? So these landing gear are also mechanical, right? So look here, it's like kind of springy, right? So if you zoom in a little bit, sorry for the vibrations, but this is quite springy. So it shock absorbs on landing, and it's like, it's nice, but it's actually difficult to kind of get it to fold back into the fairing and lock it in place. It's a little difficult to do that. So in the next iteration, I want to convert this lower back underside fuselage mechanism to drive these landing gear instead of the flaps. We'll rework the internal architecture for that, but that's kind of the basic idea. And yeah, this is it. This is the YX-10 Astra M1. Yeah, it looks pretty good. That's my name on it, has the model on it. We are just, yeah, we're all done. And I guess, yeah, now we can start designing the aircraft stand that it's going to go on. So in order to do that, you kind of do some conceptual sketching. So if you're this part is not going to be really about the airplane anymore. This is going to be about making some other things that'll support the airplane, make it look nice and things like that. So if you're still into this, then I guess keep watching, but otherwise you can feel free to click away. I'll keep this aircraft in frame if you guys want. Foxy Winter Fox says, very well, fine design for your aircraft project. Thanks, I appreciate it. It's been a work in progress for a little over a year at this point. Didn't really mean for it to take that long, but between me procrastinating, not wanting to do anything, and you know, it's on and off effort, but I think it turned out pretty well. It's a pretty sleek design, you know, the fuselage and wing and just the overall nacelles, right? It adds a lot of 3D shape to the aircraft. It's very nice looking, at least to me. Looks are not objective, right? So they're subjective, which means, you know, it depends on the audience what you prefer. But for me, this is kind of my aircraft design here. So yeah, it's kind of what it is. Oh, sorry, dropped the nose. Kind of the front profile view here looks very nice, to me at least. It's kind of out of focus, so I apologize for that, but overall this is a very sleek design. Yeah, so that's that. I'm gonna try and move on to something a little different. I'm going to be designing a stand for the aircraft. So again, if you're really not interested, please feel free to click away. But I think it's time we invent something, make something new. Right? The last one I just kind of made on a whim. This one I actually want to be nice, so I think. Okay, Foxy Winter Fox says there's a rumor going on about a new flanker variant in the flanker family in real life. It's a merge aircraft between Su-35S Flanker E and Su-30SM Flanker H. That's pretty interesting. I know it's like the 35S is mostly a air-to-air fighter. It's supposed to be like a 4.5 generation air-to-air fighter mostly. And the SM is more of a strike fighter, which means that it's more air-to-ground and multi-role, right? But yeah, that's an interesting cross between the 35S and the 30SM. I'm not sure what they're trying to do, like what the role of the aircraft is going to be, but I'm interested to see what they come up with, whether they keep the canards or not. Probably not, if I were to guess. But yeah, they might combine like the avionics of the SM into the nose of the 35S. But then if the nose gets too heavy, then they need canards to fix that. But I don't know. It's an interesting idea. If they could revive the Su-37 Su-37 Flanker F, there would be possibilities to bring the Terminator into service, but we'll just see the new flanker in real life. Yeah, the 37 was my first flanker that really got my attention because it was, Yellow 13's signature aircraft in Ace Combat 4. It's kind of why my channel is named Y13A, because it's kind of been its own thing for a while. But anyways, the 37 was my first flanker that I really liked. And then with Ace Combat 7, that kind of shifted to the Su-30. I never really liked the 35S. I just thought it looked a little strange without canards. I really like the canards on the flanker family. I think it looks a lot more unique that way. Yeah, 35S without a set of canards, that just kind of looks like a Su-27, which looks very old, right? So you add canards, it looks new. I get excited by more control surfaces. What can you say? But yeah, I heard the new flanker will be coming in 2027. That's not that far away, to be honest. We're almost halfway through 2021. So that's like 6.5 years. And I still remember when the Su-57 was named T-50. That was like what, 2010, 2011? I'm just gonna put this here for now if we're not gonna make anything, but that was a interesting time. I was just like, wow, that thing looks like the F-22, but like mixed in with Sukhoi roots with the the spaced apart engines and the huge underside. So their emphasis isn't really on stealth, it's more speed and payload and range, I guess. But anyways, yeah, exciting stuff. Su-35S, Su-30SM, and Su-37 are the only flankers that have thrust vectoring control. Yeah, that's a unique technology. It's not very, I guess, common in fighter aircraft of the olden days. But on the 5th gen, on the premier designs, the flagship designs, they are a feature, right? They help improve your maneuverability and just controllability, right? In a stall, like you don't have in an aerodynamic stall, you don't have control over your wings, your ailerons, your flaps. You just lose all control there. But if you can still direct thrust, that's a pretty important aspect of control. You can keep on flying. You can do tumbles. You can do all sorts of crazy aerobatics. But yeah, that's thrust vectoring for you. I think the only American plane so far that has it is the F-22, the Raptor, which have a model back here. But yeah, that's Americans don't really value maneuverability as much. They kind of like whatchamacallit, they prefer stealth and speed and long range missiles, high speed, long range missiles. So that's kind of their doctrine of sorts. But yeah, it's a different fighting philosophy. Russia is a huge space. I'm sure they would need to prioritize range and payload, which is why the Su-57 is so freaking large. It's like so much wing area. But yeah, it's exciting stuff. You don't really think about, at least for me, in my day-to-day work, we don't really think about flankers all that much because I work on the engine for the F-35. So, it's like, okay, well, flankers, they exist, but they're not my concern. I just, working on the F-35, working on next generation propulsion as well. Can't really talk too much about that, but adaptive engine. I mean, that bit is online, like the concept of a variable cycle engine. It's like a very powerful 3-stream architecture. So that's the future. But anyways, don't want to dwell too much on that. I'm trying to escape work by doing this, but I end up talking about work again, because I work on fighter jet engines, and it's like, okay, that's work, but I want to get outside of work. What makes them? Yeah, these messages keep on coming in today, man. I really like this. This is like engaging, because normally I don't get any messages, and it's like very boring, just me talking to myself. But today it's kind of exciting. There's another message coming in, but I'm gonna read that later. I just gotta turn on the light real quick. Yeah. There we go. All right. Yeah, C-35S TVC engine AL-41 F1S are the most modern flanker engine. There will be a chance to use that engine on other flanker variants. Yeah, that's interesting. I don't really know too much about Russian fighter engines, but I know that's an area that Russia struggles in, is like very powerful engines, along with China. China is really struggling with like gas turbine engines. It's a very, very niche, like very specific, very detailed technology. Like you have to get things exactly right or else they're just not going to work. And it's a very, I guess, convoluted science. You want to get down to it. There's a lot of details that you need to consider, like materials science, just metals that can survive high temperatures, things like that. So it's a very difficult thing to get an engine working really, really well. And you learn that when you work in the industry. So, but yeah, for us regular folks, cooler fighter jets arise when superpowers are in tension with each other. Russia and the United States, United States with China, and it's like, okay, it drives a kind of global arms race of sorts, which I don't really agree with, but it keeps me with a job, so I still am employed, so I can't really complain too much about it. But I'm really in it for the technology, right? Advancing science and art of engineering, making airplanes that unfortunately are loaded with bombs. But imagine a world where those fighter jets are just like race planes, like cars. They're tanks, right? They're vehicles used for war. But like, I want to see like fighter jets, but kind of like with a sports emphasis. They look fast, they turn fast, and I don't know. It's just kind of an idea there. Just like fast things that look nice. Just like cars. Yeah, these messages keep on coming in. Dang. Alright, yeah, so the Su-35S 30SM have 3D thrust vectoring, while Su-37 have two-dimensional thrusts. Three-dimensional thrust can make the flanker more maneuverable than two. Yeah, that makes sense. If you actually don't understand why they chose to do this, but the F-22, the nozzles both go up, both go down, so I guess that's like 2D, right? Because you not only have, thrust control, you also have a range of angles that you can adjust your pitch, moment of inertia. But it's like when you have 3D, I think it's like your nozzles kind of go separate in opposite directions, and it helps you roll really fast. I think that's what 3D is. Not sure, you're gonna have to correct me on that if I'm wrong, but 3D can make the flanker more maneuverable. Yeah, I agree with that. Flankers are generally more maneuverable, in my opinion, than their American counterparts, like the F-22, the F-35. They're not as agile, I want to say, because they're not really designed for that. They're designed for, high speed, stealth, pretty big range, things like that. It's a different philosophy, really. Yeah, Su-37 apply the three-dimensional thrust. The Terminator will easily be more maneuverable than using 2D thrust engine. Yep, I completely agree with that assessment. The U.S. doesn't really have that. Right? They had their chance to add that on the F-35, but they chose not to. I guess to reduce cost. Right? It's not a feature that's really needed per se. The F-35 is a strike fighter as well. It's really meant to be kind of simple, effective. Actually, the B variant does have thrust vectoring, but it's not thrust vectoring in the sense that you help you maneuver faster. It's thrust vectoring to land vertically. So it's a different it's a different purpose. But anyways, yeah, we're getting quite off track, but I don't really mind. Like, I don't have much planned for this week, as well as next week and the week after that. I'm just trying to tie over, kind of transition to the new location, and in the meantime, just working on low-key projects, low-key incremental steps, progress. So I don't really have too much planned. So I'm okay with just talking with you guys as well if you have any questions or anything like that. I always make it a point to make progress, but sometimes just talking, just getting ideas flowing, that's also quite invaluable, right? Like, you can't place a value on it. That word has always confused me. Invaluable is like, it doesn't mean unvaluable. It means you can't place a value on it. Not its value is zero. That's a different. Anyways, I'm just getting confused here. Sorry about that. Yeah, dude, Foxy is like super knowledgeable about all the flankers. He is like the go-to guy to learn about flankers. Like, I wish I knew as much about flankers as him. Like, he just straight up is an encyclopedia. Like, he could probably draw out the family tree of different flankers. I wouldn't be able to do that. I could give you a rough idea, but I wouldn't be able to do that. It says the Su-33 UB are the Navy flanker trainer that also have 3D thrust vectoring nozzles. From the past, the Soviet plans to add TVC to naval flanker, but it was abandoned, the project, which is a shame. Yeah, I don't know too much about the Su-33. I know it's like a naval variant of the flanker, at least in Ace Combat. It's like, the one with the folding wings, right? The one with the EML. I just kind of remember it by that, the weapon loadout, which is the EML. But that's an interesting plane. It looks almost exactly like the Su-37, but it's a little bit different. It's more commercially viable, or prevalent, I guess. The 37 was really kind of an experimental plane. Kind of the American counterpart to that would be like the F-15S MTD, the active. But I don't know. I just thought of that just now. But the 33UB, I have never heard of that designation. I just always assumed it was the Su-33, but it is what it is, I suppose. Yeah, dude knows a lot about flankers. I highly recommend you guys check out his work. He makes 3D models as well. Like, he has like paper airplane versions of flankers, and it's very interesting. Very curious how he made them, but yeah, he's made some really nice models in the past as well. He specializes in flankers mostly, whereas I kind of have my own build style. He has a more, I guess, exact approach, right? You fold this paper a certain way, and then you just attach it together. With me, it's more like molding, more modeling, like go with the flow, right? You just kind of make curved surfaces. It looks a lot different than a lot of those other models. Yeah, the difference between the 33 and 37 is the vertical stabilizer, different shape. Yeah, it's a slightly different shape. The different tail boom and different wing areas. Oh, I didn't know about the wing areas, but I did know about the vertical stabilizers. The 37 has, I think, a kind of angled, it's kind of like a straight, but then it kind of goes out and then back, kind of vertical stabilizer, and then the top is like a straight horizontal crop, and the 33 is like a slanted crop on the top, so it's like slightly different. I do concede that point. I didn't know it was different wing areas, but that's interesting. I never knew. Yeah, so the Astra, I was going to say the Astra here, the prototype that you see right here, has a vertical stabilizer between the cross. That's kind of like the cross between a YF-23 with the kind of stealth-shaped, large area planform, kind of just kind of this trapezoidal shape, mixed with a flanker, top slanted crop here. So it's kind of my creative combination of both of those. But yeah, it's an interesting design. I think it's quite unique, and it looks all right. It doesn't look too bad. It looked a little weird initially, but you kind of just get used to it over time. So also the difference between 33 37 is different landing gears. 33 have lower landing gear, which makes it lower, but on the lowered landing gear would make your plane lower. That is fact. But I would assume they do that because the 33 has to land on an aircraft carrier, which is moving. You're experiencing higher loads. You don't have that long of a runway, so you kind of have to crash into the carrier in a way. So it has to be sturdier. The landing gear has to be shorter. It's a naval fighter, so that makes sense, right? At least to me, you make your landing gear shorter and plane shorter. That makes sense. Stronger landing gear that way. 37 is an experimental fighter in a way, so it makes sense for it to be high landing gear. Being a little bit higher off the ground, I don't know if it makes it easier to take off. I know it's better for the engines because it doesn't pick up as much dust from the ground. I actually think lower landing gear helps you take off better too, because you get aircraft to ground effect, which is when you trap like a pocket of air under your wings, between the ground and your wings. That helps you take off faster. So it's kind of a trade-off, right? It makes sense. The Su-37 is more an air-to-air kind of fighter anyway. So yeah, exciting stuff. Cool. So before the next message comes in, I don't know when the next message is going to come in. I'm going to start work on a stand of some sort. So we have our plane here, and we want to build some sort of metallic structure that holds it up, right? I think what we're going to do is, so we're just going to sketch some concepts here. So we definitely need a base. Just some shape, right? Just the side view here. We need some base. Maybe something like this to grab around the monitor that I have. I might not design this to be for the monitor, but who knows? Just kind of have to go with the flow here. And then this kind of leads into the aircraft. That could be a thing, I guess. I don't know. I would like it to have a little bit of space. So it could be like that, and then, you know, the stand comes down here instead. So I don't think we'll do this. But yeah, just sketching out the aircraft here. It's not exact, it doesn't have to be. Right? This is a concept sketch for a stand. It's kind of what it looks like from the side. Ratios are a little off, but it doesn't really matter all that much. Front landing gear, fairing here that transitions into like a nice curve to the back. Side profile is a little more slim, right? But we want to connect that here, bring it down. We could make a curve exactly like that and then have it come down like that. Landing gear out, landing gear out. Something like that. I want to adjust that angle though, right? So that's the thing. Yeah, so, oh, sorry, you guys can't really see that. So, if you guys can't see something, please let me know. Yeah, damn, Foxy is just like dominating the chat today. Wow, look at that. Su-27 SM3 is the most upgraded of the Su-27 and other previous Su-27, like SP, SM. Dude, the Russians, you know what? The Russians need to name their aircraft better. They need to name their aircraft better. I am too confused. Like, there's so many variants of everything. It's like, I can't even tell the difference anymore. It's like, there's the S, there's a P, there's a SM, SM3. It's like, bruh, condense your naming scheme. Stop adding more and more letters. It's just a little confusing, but yeah, it's not the upgraded version, but it's an aircraft built. So it's like the Su-35S, but without TVC. Interesting. I have no idea. Like if you really want to learn about flankers, like, he is the guy to go to. He is the go-to guy for that. Yeah, I know naming aircraft is an interesting thing. Like, people just, you know, before like 1945, like, fighters were designated P, you know, like P-47, Thunderbolt 2, P-51, you know, the old Warbird planes. And those were named differently because those fighters were designated P because they were called, you know, pursuit aircraft, right? So it's like, okay, well, pursuit P, that makes sense. And then they moved to the F system. And they decided to, like, use really large numbers. Like, F-104, 104, and then F-111 Aardvark. There's like the Century Series fighters, F-105 Thunder Chief, I want to say F-106 Convair, something. And it's like, those were like the 50s, 60s, and then they jumped all the way back to like the lower numbers for some reason. And I just like, that doesn't make sense, but whatever. Nothing makes sense. Like, humans, we're illogical. Like, we don't make sense at all. Just name things according to what we feel like makes sense. But yeah, I heard about the new Eagle 2 announcement, the F-15EX, which apparently is like an upgraded version of the F-15 that can carry a lot more missiles. It's not stealth. It's like a 4.5 generation aircraft, I want to say, or solid fourth generation aircraft, but it has like upgraded electronics. Basically, it's a new version of the F-15 Eagle. And they call it Eagle 2, which is, I'm just like, that's not creative at all. Like, you could probably come up with a different name. I probably would have named it like Eagle X, because EX, Eagle X, I don't know, makes more sense to me. But yeah, what are you gonna do, right? So actually, yeah, we're just gonna continue here, working on the stand design. This is like kind of my basic idea, right? So you have something like that, and then you have something along this axis, but then there's like a little handle here so that you can adjust the angle. I don't know if that's worth it, but your aircraft display just like that, and then you can adjust the angle of the pitch nose up. But I'm not really sure how this mechanism would work, right? I want to make it mechanical, but also I need to make it reliable enough. That's the big if I'm able to do that. I know the 16 gauge steel wire is quite stiff, so it should probably be able to handle this. But also, I just don't know how I would build this mechanism. Like, I could build one out of wood and everything, but yeah, it's a little tough. Like, how would I make this mechanism out of wire, purely wire? All right, so this frame is probably going to be stiff as heck. And then, so this piece right here is moving. And then potentially this piece is moving and this piece is moving. So it's like that. These 1, 2, 3 bars are going to be moving. I've actually made something like this before. I'm going to try and pull out the photo of it. Sorry about that. I'm just going to open a new Chrome window here. Hopefully it doesn't lag out my computer. Chrome is so memory intensive, like it's kind of crazy. This is like the only time I'm going to log on to Facebook. Oh, Jesus. I have so many notifications. I don't really use Facebook anymore. But, God. Because my Facebook page is kind of dead. I do acknowledge that. It's just been such a long time since I've posted anything on there. Like almost 2 years. Yeah, it's... I'm trying to find an old picture here of what I made. It's like a... Oh yeah, this is what it is. Here, let me share the screen real quick. Desktop right. Alright, there we go. Oh, infinite tunnel. Alright, here we go. This is a project that I worked on. I never really made a video for this. But it was a ping pong ball launcher for one of my engineering classes, and this is kind of the design that I had. You have a little launcher thing here that's spring loaded. This main spring here kind of holds the thing in tension, right? And you pull this little wooden piece here back, which pulls this elastic band. And you let go, and this driver rod here impacts the ping pong ball, and the ping pong ball just like launches out. And I think this angle is adjustable using this little bar here. This is a 4-bar linkage, right? This base here is linked up really nicely. And then you can move this one around like that. And what it does is it pushes this rod, which pushes this rod, and it adjusts kind of the angle here, right? So you can adjust it like this, you can adjust it like this. A whole bunch of angles. It was mechanically very elegant. I really like this design, but I don't know how I would work this into like a I don't know, like an aircraft stand type deal. I could definitely try and mimic this because the design already exists. I just apply this to kind of a aircraft stand context, right? So it's like this. And then this. Sorry, I'm just doing like a quick sketch there. So, spinny bit, spinny bit, spinny bit, anchor bit, anchor bit. Alright, so anyways, this is like a little sidetrack here, but, you know, just concept, right? Just sketched out the overall layout there. This is another idea that could potentially work, where you have a stand that kind of I don't know, it's like it's kind of hard to design this thing. I'm just trying to like branch out a little bit, make new things, not necessarily airplanes, but anyways. Yeah, difference between SU-30 M2 and SM is the non-canard and non-TVC version of the SU-30. Well, the SM are canard and TVC. Yeah, it's like SM is more advanced. It's also, I think, commercially more available than the M2. I'm not sure on that, but yeah. It's a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff. Alright, so I don't think we necessarily need all this structure. This is like very complicated. We could very well just adjust the main thing because we don't need to like do anything here while it's being displayed. And actually this looks cleaner without this going down and then going out. Oh, sorry, you guys can't really see. Sorry about that. I apologize. So as I was saying, this actually looks cleaner than this. It's almost like a more refined version, but also it has different needs, right? This aircraft stand is, I'm really trying to get it to be as clean, as elegant as possible. So this could be a way of doing that. But this is interesting. This brings the center axis down low, right? It brings it in a little bit. And this was necessary for the launcher because you had a little mechanism to, you know, draw the piston back and then launch the ball. But when you're displaying an aircraft, you don't really need to access this area. So actually this is cleaner. Yeah, I'm just trying to think, like, just creatively what other idea that we can come up with. This will have to be like friction fit, of course. I think we might need a spring attachment to keep this up in a way. I don't know. I don't want to spend too much time designing and engineering this thing because it's supposed to be a stand. It's not supposed to be like complicated. At the same time, you look at something like the Pro Display XDR from Apple. It's the stand for that is incredibly mechanically elegant. It's like there's gears inside, there's levers, and it just God, that kind of thing inspires me. And you know what I'm talking about? It's like the display, right? You have your display and then your stand right behind it that goes down like that, and then like that holds up your computer display, right? And from the side it looks very elegant. It's like a straight panel like that, and then it's just straight up, like, I don't know how they attach it, but it's this simple linkage. It looks very clean, and then it attaches to this back panel of a display here, and then inside this little pill-shaped thing there's I'm just gonna try and draw this out for you guys, but I don't exactly know how the mechanism works, but I just know it looks cool as fuck. Sorry. The gear here, and then there's like a gear here, but it's like half of a quarter, and then it's like there's a linkage to this side and a linkage to this side. I don't even know what they're doing. It's so over engineered and magical. Like, I just want to do something like that, but I don't want to like spend too much time on this. It's supposed to be a simple display stand, but anyways, I nerd out over like engineering details like this. I'm not just a nerd for airplanes. That's one thing to know about me is like I pay attention to detail, and I appreciate when something's made really well, like the Apple product that I just described here. It's like, it's crazy the amount of effort they put into a simple hinge. Yeah, this is an interesting idea. You could probably build like a truss structure here to keep it stiff. Right, keep it stiff. This triangle here is gonna be very structurally sound, and then we can have a little arm here that's kind of joined to the vertex of one of these locations. Not sure. Yeah. Interesting. I just don't know like how this linkage here is gonna be frictionally fit and viable. It's almost impossible to get like a mechanical thing like this to stay in place. I'm not sure. It's like, this is where invention comes into play, but invention doesn't happen when I narrate. It kind of happens when I just think about it, and then aha, you have an idea. Yeah. So this is going to be anchored. This is not moving. This point right here. I guess this point is not moving either. It's just these 2 points that are like moving like that. If we have like so if we put our aircraft here, there's going to be a force going down like that, which means we need a force. If it's on this side of the fulcrum, it needs to go that way. If it's on this side of the fulcrum, it needs to go this way. Alright, because imagine you have a seesaw. If you apply a force here, to counter that force, to keep this thing flat, you would need to push up on this side. Or, if you don't have that, you would need to push down on the other side, right? So it's like the same idea here. So I'm just trying to come up with a good design for this. Yeah, I'm not really sure. So I'm trying to think. Okay, so we have like a double wire with a coil at the top. It's not structurally reliable. I want something that goes across like that, but is also stiffly attached. That's going to be a difficult problem. And then there's the idea of this, which is like a control rod, which is this thing right here that moves this whole arm. So it's going to be like 3 different lines. Forming kind of a triangular prism of sorts. So we could like add a spring here. That's gonna be kind of tough. Ugh. Oh, sorry, you guys can't really see. Sorry, this is like nonsense scribbling, but gets the ideas flowing. Yeah. Oh shoot, we are almost out of time. Like I usually end this at like around 2 hours 10 minutes, but we're going a little late today. But oh my goodness, he is still going. Wow. I definitely appreciate the enthusiasm. Difference between the 30 M2 and SM are the non-canard and non-TVC of the SG30. The SM. Oh wait, I already read that one. C-34 are the only flanker that don't have bottom vertical fin at the bottom of the elevators. Huh. I've never actually noticed that. Huh. That's interesting. 35S34 are the only flanker that don't have dorsal air brake, but use rudders as an air brake. That's interesting. I never knew that. The F-22 does that. When it lands, it like the 2 V tails, they kind of pull out like that. Like the control surfaces deflect, and then it pushes the nose down, and it really slows the aircraft down. And I didn't know Sukhoi's did that. But that's interesting to know. Also, I didn't know that it was missing the vertical fin, the ventral fin underneath the elevators. That's an interesting detail. I never noticed that. Yeah, that's pretty cool. All right, so yeah, we're gonna continue working on this stand design. I apologize, like I didn't really get much done today, but it's nice catching up with you guys. It was nice talking to you guys, but I do have to call it at some point, right? So might as well be now. Almost out of time here, but again, next week we will continue with the ideation and potential design and building of this aircraft stand. It's not really making a lot of sense right now, but it's in a vague conceptual phase where, you know, we're just defining the general idea, what we want it to do. Once that's kind of more definitive, we can actually fabricate it using materials that we have, and we'll see how that turns out. Hopefully the stand becomes something beautiful in itself, and hopefully hopefully you guys like it, and I'll like it too. All right, so that's pretty much all I have for today. Thanks for watching, you guys. Thanks for all the support. Thanks, Flanker Ryan, for joining and teaching us all about the different flankers in the Russian fighter jet family, especially the Sukhois. Really appreciate it. This type of enthusiasm, community building, it really helps the channel. Not only that, but also helps other aircraft aviation enthusiasts learn a little bit more. So again, tune in next week. I'll be doing this live stream again. I might even do one on Saturday next week. But yeah, it's been really nice talking with you guys. So thanks for attending, and I'll talk to you guys soon. I'll talk to you guys next week. I just gotta give it a minute here of silence before it stops the stream. Alright, peace.